So maybe that's a good segue into Weapons, a movie that you said, hey, I watched it. Why don't you watch it, Frankie?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those ones where I watched it. I'm like, I got to talk to somebody about this. Please watch it.
Yeah, you didn't push it on me too hard. You were like, well, I watched it. I was like, yeah. I had, there was buzz around it. And so I wanted to, it's not often I get to check out the original stuff. And the podcast is the thing that pushes me in that direction. So I was like, yeah, it's a 2-hour movie. I can squeeze that in. And boy, am I glad I did, because I fucking loved it.
Well, it has a really good premise, and it was really played up well in the marketing. It's like, a group of kids in the middle of the night run out of the night and like disappear forever. They do like a Naruto run, like it's 2010. They have their arms behind them,
like it's Kickassia, and they're all headed towards Molassia.
They're all headed toward Molassia. They're not screaming.
They're out there with a crappy camera, and I'm looking for them.
And they're all from the same class, so the teacher is like the prime suspect because all these kids disappeared except for one boy.
So she and that one boy are the only commonality here with this extreme mystery. And one of the things I liked about the mystery of the missing kids was they right away were like, well, everybody would have a Ring camera, everybody would have but it was 2:17 in the morning, and yeah, you've got footage of the kid running out the door. So we know the kids ran out the door, but then they just run off into darkness. And it's not like there's it's a sleepy little town. It's not like there's cameras everywhere. Very haunting concept. As a matter of fact, I was passing Nina and I was like, oh, there's this movie Weapons. She's like, oh, cool. What kind of movie is it? I'm like, like a horror thriller. And she's like, what's it about? And I was like, so at like 2:17 in the morning, all the kids from this classroom, and I had to stop, and I was like, uh-oh. I was like, 4th grade class, because I was like, if I say 3rd grade, she's out, because we got a 3rd grader upstairs. And they all get out of their beds and run into the darkness. She goes, no, I don't want to hear anymore. No. I was like, oh, come on, it's good. Anyway, so continue.
Yeah, and so you're kind of left with different perspectives. So you start off, is it with the teacher you start off with, right?
Yeah, played by Julia Garner.
Silver Surfer.
It's the Silver Surfer. She was in the Wolfman. She plays like a young teacher who is kind of, it's clear that she's lonely, single. Maybe she's like getting most of her kind of emotional fulfillment from just her students being like highly available to them. So there's a little bit of an unhealthy relationship there. I was watching a behind the scenes thing, and the director there, Zach Cregger, he was saying, first of all, the original concept for the movie was that it would only follow her, that it wasn't this kind of chapter based initially. He's like, it would just be about the teacher. And then he kind of, as he was developing the story, he's like, I kind of want to see this from a lot of people's perspectives.
Originally, it was just the story of Justine. But as I was writing, I just wanted it to feel big and sprawling. So I knew I had to just jump around and rope more people into the mystery.
But he was not considering that actress originally because he liked her, but he felt that she was too young, that the teacher needed to be aged up a little bit. And he's like, eventually I just got over it and cast her, and I think it's fine. And I couldn't imagine anybody else as her. Now, me not knowing that, I was like, I think the 23, 24-year-old teacher who's still single and has this kind of juvenile relationship, not inappropriate, but kind of like this emotionally unhealthy relationship with her class because she's single, that actually makes more sense to me in a way than like the cat lady that's older.
I know all of this comes from the fact that you care. I know that you aren't a threat to these kids, but you have to realize you aren't a parent, you're a teacher.
Yeah, and then so because she's kind of the prime suspect, and because like the eyes on her, she kind of develops some very like bad drinking habits.
Very flawed.
Yeah, she's very flawed. She's like sleeping with the cop played by Han Solo there.
Yeah, Alden Ehrenreich. One of my favorite actors of the current age. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, and he's like, because he's like either married or he's in another relationship. So she's like engaging in destructive behavior, but like she's very sympathetic because you're just like, oh, everyone's eyes are on her. And then they shift perspective to
Josh Brolin.
Fucking Josh Brolin's in this, and he's playing one of the dads of the kids that ran away, and so he's like doing his own like legwork basically because people, the authorities don't seem to be getting any traction, and it's basically a unsolved mystery. So he's like going up to people with the Ring cameras. He's like plotting the course of the children. He's doing his own research.
He's missing his kid Matthew. And he's not going to rest, and he's not going to leave it up to everybody else. Yeah, I imagine if you have footage of your child running out the house, you're like, okay, You know, it'd be one thing if the kid just went missing, but it's another like the kid fled and then other kids fled. What the fuck? You know, it really wig you. The stakes are high, you know?
Yeah. And then the movie does this thing where you see the movie from different perspectives. So you go through all of Julie Gardner's perspective for a bit and then it ends. And then it kind of rewinds and then goes through Josh Brolin. And he goes a little bit farther. And then it rewinds again, and you see the narrative from a bunch of different perspectives, and you're given more information.
Kind of fleshes out the surface area of the narrative.
Yeah, and then there's like a junkie, and then you see first you see him interact with other characters first, and then you see things from his perspective,
which instantly took me. Do you remember Run Lola Run? It right away took me to Run Lola Run.
Yes, it's very much in that. That's the thing is, the cool thing about the movie is you can see a lot of its inspirations.
Yeah.
But it does its own unique thing with them. It runs. It's like Tarantino, you know. It's like anything where
nonlinear.
It wears its influences on its sleeve, but it uses it in its own creative
novel.
way.
Yeah, but I would say early 2000s, you know, Donnie Darko, Paul Thomas Anderson, Tarantino. Right. If you love those like early 2000s movies that were like, that had powerhouse casts, that were auteur led, where they put a little extra budget into it. Maybe it did really well on DVD back then. You know, it's like that. And I think that, you know, the 90s and the early 2000s were some of the finest times in like art, where art movies got to make $100 million. And I hear this thing made some serious money. Like people came out to the theater to see it.
It did well. I mean, the marketing, like I mentioned it at the time when I saw the marketing, like this marketing is awesome. It gave you the premise right away in the previews, but didn't give anything away. The movie is so good at setting up the mystery, getting you into it, then giving you information. And then even when it's revealed what the mystery is, you're like, oh, that makes sense. And that you get all of the data. And then you're like, oh, I wonder what happens now.
So I think the reason that that's so effective is because, well, first of all, we're learning a lot about the stakes and what everybody has staked in this. So that's going to draw you in. That makes you lean forward. It doesn't misdirect you. It doesn't intentionally mislead you. So sometimes twisty mystery movies will have red herrings, or they'll want you to think something so that they can misdirect you later, or so they can correct you and you go, oh, not this. This is just telling you like raw information. It's just it's just withholding it and unfolding it at strategic times. So I remember there was, I think on Charlie Rose, Tarantino talked about that many years ago. He said, you know, a good story unfolds, you know, bit by bit throughout.
You pretty much know everything you're going to see in the movie by the first 10 or 20 minutes. Now, that's not a story. A story is something that constantly unfolds. I'm not talking about like this quick left turn or a quick right turn or a big surprise. I'm talking about it unfolds.
And I think, you know, spoilers, I think one of the most awesome things about the movie is the whole movie could be staked on where did the kids go? And you could be watching the whole movie to find out where did the kids go. You could make the whole thing about that. And like you probably make a movie that works where, you know, and the ending is satisfying because you find out or something. You know? So like there's a big question that's asked and there's a big question that's answered. This movie answers that question, logistically answers that question about an hour in. So it gives you the what an hour in, but it withholds the how and the why. And now all you're doing is watching the how and the why. And I think that that's like, for just what appeals to me and what satisfies me in a story, that's infinitely more interesting. Completely withholding information from me just to surprise me later is not really what I'm in it for.
Yeah, it does. It never feels cheap. And it just feels so refreshing to have somebody who had like an idea for a story and then just execute it so well. Yeah, because the junkie ends up finding the kids in like a basement, and and he like tries to like, because he wants a reward for them.
I love the scene on the phone where he's tweaking out and he's like, yeah, there's like I know where those kids are. The house is not far from here. I could actually take you.
Calling about the $50,000 reward for information about the missing kids, because I know where they are. Yeah, I don't know. They're just like in the basement standing all still and shit. And there's like fucking two wackos over there, and it's just like fucked up.
It's almost like casual in a way. You know, he just stumbles into all the kids. It's like very shocking when it happens.
Yeah.
And of all the people to find him, of course, it would be the guy who's burglarizing the house.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting movie because it's like it kind of bends the genres because it's a funny movie. Like there's like a lot of funny comedy in it, but it is a thriller, it is a mystery, it is a horror movie. It's like all these things.
Yeah. The humor and the drama and the horror are all coming, I think, from the story and characters, all of it.
Yeah.
That's why it works. And I would say the visual storytelling is extremely motivated, but also stylistic, also creative. A lot of the old thing of like rigging a camera to the door that of a car that opens and closes, and just for like some kinetic energy. The director was talking about how Julia Gardner has prey eyes, like where they're kind of like pointy up, like she's kind of scanning for threats, and Josh Brolin is like predator, like small eyes, and they said same thing. They wanted that with who is revealed to be the sort of villain of the movie, the witch. They wanted somebody with, kind of like little beady, like bird like eyes. That, she's a predator. And he also, I picked up on this subconsciously. It was cool to hear him say it. He was like, I was just trying to think, what would this character be? Like, what's a novel way to give you a witch? And he's like, and I thought like a rich lady from Miami. A brightly colored auntie from Miami.
I did not know about Gladys when I started writing this movie. I thought a fun take on that would be a brightly colored woman from Miami.
And and they put her in these kind of red, like peacocky type colors, this outrageous costume. And I'm like, she does remind me of like poison flora or something, poison berries.
Because she'll like show up in like the forest and she's like waving, and it's shocking. You're just like, whoa. Yeah. It's like it's almost like It the Clown, but like it's like that kind of shocking.
I thought it was fantastic. I thought Alden Ehrenreich killed it. Josh Brolin, I love when Josh Brolin plays a normal guy. I always talk about, there's a Danny McBride movie called Legend of the White-tailed Deer Hunter, where he just plays like a dad in that wants to go hunting with his kid, and he's just really good.
Hi, I'm Buck Ferguson. Tonight's episode isn't just about killing white-tailed deer. It's also about family.
Kind of like it when he doesn't necessarily have to play a superhero or something. It's cool when he, he's just like a dad, or in this movie, he's just like a guy in the town. He's a bit of a dick or impulsive, whatever, but I don't know. I feel like I'm with him,
Yeah. And it's funny, because his son's kind of revealed to be a bully, but it's interesting. It's like interesting. It feels like that's the thing. It feels like a real living town too. Yeah. Like it gives you that feeling. Yeah. Wong's in it, and he, when he gets possessed and he's like running forever, and then his like eyes start bulging out. There's like a lot of like attention to detail that adds to the horror.
And what works so well about, he's kind of the first person we see turn into a monster type character. And the reason it works so well is because he's introduced as such a gentle, intellectual, wouldn't hurt a fly type guy. And he plays it so nicely. He's a really good actor. I wouldn't have known that from the fucking Marvel movies. But turns out he's a great actor. Like, there's just this it's so silly. I don't know if it was director-led or what. There's like a moment, he's on the phone in the supermarket. He's with his husband, and he's like showing him like, which chips do you want? And he's like, kind of like lazily. I don't know why. I just like little performance moments where he's like pointing out the chip he wants while he's trying to pay attention on the phone. It's like slight. I just love... Yeah. I love movies. I forgot I love, I always forget that I love movies. I'm like, you can do so much shit in a movie if you want to. And yeah, to your point about like, as another example, our introduction to Josh Brolin is during Julia Garner's story. And in that scene, he's really just a threat to her, and we're with her, we're in her life. And so we don't like him when that guy is looking to accuse people that didn't do anything wrong, and he's impulsive, and as soon as you connect with him, you're like, this is a good man.
He's like sleeping in his son's bed, and you see it from his perspective, and it's like, oh, that opens up a new dimension, and that's good storytelling. It's just like, oh wow, that's it opens up your mind. And then and then when you get to the finale, it's so great because for me, I was like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then suddenly it clicked in my head. I'm like, oh, I know what's going to happen right before it happens. You're just
I know why it's the title that it is.
It's like, and that's the best when you're like a couple steps ahead of the movie, and it finally clicks in, and then you're just like, oh no, and then you're just watching the spectacle. You're watching the roller coaster go down.
Yeah, because the movie now makes perfect sense logistically, and now you just get to watch that activate. Basically, you've spent the whole time winding up a box, and you get to see something spring out of the box, which is really cool. That's some great narrative. And you could criticize, you could say, well, some of the characters that they did a lot of setup with ultimately were thrown away, or they did nothing with. I'm like, well, that's kind of what a horror movie does, is like, it gives you everybody, and then some people don't make it. That's kind of That's maybe the one way it was misdirecting, was it gives you everybody's perspective, and therefore you don't really know who exactly your main characters are. There was a minor moment that I really responded to, which was when she was running away from Wong in the liquor store, and Josh Brolin, which also visually very compelling scene.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin, football tackling Wong into a glass fridge and stuff, like, holy shit. But she's running away, and it's sort of these tracking shots throughout this kind of these narrow aisles in the liquor store as she's leaving after this horrible thing has occurred. Big, loud, criminal activity, violent activity. The liquor store guy's like, "Get out of the store and don't come back." And she's like, "Fucking help me."
Get out of my store! Fucking help me!
It's like this one moment. I just felt like it colored the whole town in a way where, like, it rings true. We were talking about the train, last week, and how, we've seen horrible footage of people walking away from somebody who's getting stabbed to death. And like, it does, we don't live in a culture right now where everybody leaps onto the threat, So it's just like a nice little touch. Fucking help me. She's this like very slight woman who is getting attacked by a gigantic man. And this guy's like, "Get out of my store."
Get out of my store! Fucking help me!
You know what else I liked was because and this is good that they did this, because that final pop at the end is so effective. You would not want a falling action denouement, "Hey, where are you going to go? You going to be okay? Would you like to go for drinks sometime?" You don't want those scenes. You don't want to have, I feel like every movie in the 80s and 90s, you didn't do, just the killer was stopped and they were all like sitting on the edges of ambulances and then there was credits or something.
Yeah.
But I feel like now it's always like 3 weeks later or something. And they don't do this here. Like they give you what you came for and credits roll.
Yeah, there's like some ending narration. I forget what the kid said, but it's a little funny too. And then, that just ends.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of needle, because of the junkie. There's people getting stabbed in the face with needles in this thing.
Oh yeah,
I often think about that with cop because he takes the junkie and he's putting him under arrest and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna reach in your pockets. Is there anything in there that's gonna stick me?" And he's like, "No, there shouldn't be." And of course, like right away, it gets stuck.
Yeah, it's like it kind of is a comedic moment, but then you're just like, "Ooh,
it would be awful." Well, every time you're putting a drug addict under arrest, you're probably running that risk. Every time you put on those gloves and they're not going to do shit for you. Justin Long was in this for like 2 seconds. Did you see that?
Yeah, he's in Barbarian.
He's in
too.
Barbarian, which was directed by the same guy.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, you should see that too.
Yeah, I would like to now, especially now.
And the director is like, isn't he like a comedy background, Wise Kids or something?
Yes, which is I also love actually. Poor Trevor there had to pass away. That was horrible.
Hello! My family and I live in garbage. Why do we live in a pile of garbage? Because 3 weeks ago, when His Holiness rode past on the Great Black Steed, somebody forgot to bow!
I can't recommend it enough. I'm watching it and I'm going, I guess there could be a person out there that dislikes this, but I guess we'll just work around them. And it turned out, our friend Levi was like, I think he felt like the chapter thing was start-stoppy. It was a little, it kind of caused the roller coaster to lurch a little too much for his liking. But for me, it was a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, to me, it's a feature. I felt like it was great. I felt like I said, the way it just unfolded different characters was very appealing to me. So
yeah, more of that, less of everything else, and especially if that's making money.
Yeah, that's great news. Because I think after I watched the movie, I watched a little bit like Red Letter Media's coverage of it, and they said like something along the lines of like I haven't seen a movie like this since The Kid Detective, and that's another great movie. That's a great movie, and then but that movie probably didn't do any numbers. But it's good that this one did well.
Yeah, just a note on Half in the Bag. I watched it too afterwards. I was like, if I hadn't watched this movie, this would be completely incoherent. I would have no idea what they were talking about. But having watched the movie, it was actually really enjoyable to get their 30 minutes of coverage or whatever. For the first time in a few months, I was like, I'm kind of like really vibing with Red Letter Media right now. We've been a little uncharitable to them recently after a series of, I don't know, incongruence with Red Letter Media. But maybe what was always good about them was like watching a certain era of movies and reacting to a certain era of movies. Like it even felt like it was a throwback for them. For me, watching a movie like this.
Yeah, because we all used to like movies. Yes.
You know, a lot of times, like, whenever we watch the Disney slop, I'm always like, I'd rather be watching Sega Lord X slop. But then I'll give away all of it if I can watch great movies.
Yes, exactly. I do think if I were to say like between Weapons and Barbarians, which I like more, Weapons is the superior film, but Barbarian is good too.
I'll check it out. Gloria saw it. It was on Plex, and she was looking something up on Plex, and she was like, "Dad, you were watching a scary movie." I don't know. She said, "You were watching a really scary movie." She saw the poster. I think just the poster freaked her out. The Naruto, the Doug Walker.
Yeah.
They look like birds or something. There is something scary, man. You don't want your little child to get out of bed and leave the house. Like there's something viscerally frightening about, especially when you're monitoring. You know, your surveillance stuff fails you.
Yeah, what a great premise. Perfect premise. I think that's why people went out to see it, because it's like, ooh, that's scary.
You could also, I've said before, sometimes I think movies are emotionally manipulative with kids because everybody connects to, oh God, don't do anything to my baby. And so if you take a movie and you go, haha, his baby died, you know, it's kind of a shortcut to an emotion. You can get me to feel a lot if you show me that without earning it. It's a shortcut. So it can be lazy, and it could be, you know, sort of like, almost like a jump scare for a horror movie. You know, it's almost like the equivalent of that. Like, it's like, well, sure, you can go boo and make me go, ah, but like you didn't earn my scare. You know, same thing with like, with laughs. Laughs can be cheap as opposed to like an enriching laugh. So anyway, I thought that the management of what would it be like to lose the children was not overshadowed. Like, it's not like that thing was, the most prominent thing about the movie. It was the characters and what they were going through and their flaws and their, you know, and all that. You could also do a thing, you know, another cheaper version of this movie would be that because the characters are so flawed, like taking Justine as is that her name? Yeah, Justine, Julia Gardner's character, taking her as an example, because she's the only one in the class. You could do this thing where you set her up to be innocent and then you reveal she was not innocent. Right. Oh, I should have guessed all along. So you can do this thing where you're like, oh, they're flawed because I want you to suspect them. The movie doesn't play that game at all. I don't think you're suspecting any of these characters are actually involved in this thing.
Yeah, that's very true. You're just like, you're in it for the ride. You're curious about everybody. And the movie, like, I feel, treats you intelligently.
It treats you, it's definitely respectful to the audience.
Even like the child actor who, you know, plays the one kid who was left behind, he's really good too, and they treat his point of view very well, and very like it's like very almost sad and shocking what he had to go through, and in a unique way.
He has to keep the kids in the basement fed, and like one of them
and his parents fed.
One of them is the brutal bully, and he's kind of like having to feed soup to the bully. You know,
it's interesting. It's
just a little complexity, a little character complexity, you know. There's a really cute clip of that child actor in the behind the scenes where he's like, I think I relate to Alex because he's a nice kid. I mean, he's feeding his bully in the basement. He's like, you know, he's a very small child, and he's trying his best to do like a grown-up interview, you know.
But I can tell he's very caring because he like wipes people's chin and stuff like that later in the movie. And that's his bully, too. So I'm like, wow, he's very nice.
Look, this director, whatever he's got, I'm in. I mean, he's got to be up there now. You know, like Robert Eggers and, you know, some of these kind of more modern directors that you're just going to come out for every time.
Yeah, you're going to at least, you know, your ears are going to perk up when you hear they're working on something new.
Yeah, you want to see what they're, you know, Vince Gilligan, you do Pluribus, I'm in, you know.
Oh, yeah.
King said my family and I have to live in garbage!
Okay, sir, if you don't leave soon, I'm gonna have to let the dog out again.
Oh, that motherfucker! He tried to kill me! He tried to kill me!
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.